All right, Celtics fans, let's dive into the latest updates and development from Boston, where the season is shaping up to be a real test of adaptability and depth for this team. It has been fascinating to watch how everyone from the starters to the bench is navigating roles that are slightly or even drastically different from what they've been accustomed to. You see, this season, it is clear that the Celtics are asking more from their players than ever before. Some of the guys, like Sam Howard, are comfortably in their established roles, but almost everyone else has been pushed outside their comfort zone, and it is showing in both the consistency and the flow of the team. Players like Jaylen Brown and Joe Mazzulla's core rotation are being challenged in ways that demand not just scoring, but a wider range of responsibilities, including playmaking, reading defenses on the fly, and maintaining efficiency while doing so. What we're seeing is a team that is being molded to be more flexible, to be capable of handling multiple scenarios, and it is exactly this experimentation that accounts for the uneven start they've had. Some nights, the shots fall, and everything clicks, while on others, there's a struggle to find rhythm and cohesion. Peyton Pritchard, for example, has stepped out of his comfort zone in ways that have really highlighted his skill set. He is the kind of player who thrives when told to simply go out and play, and his ability to adapt has been one of the bright spots. Even when he isn't hitting threes consistently, his basketball IQ, decision-making, and ability to make the right plays under pressure are invaluable. On the other hand, you have players like Jaylen, who are now carrying much heavier workloads and responsibilities than they ever have. The adjustment is massive, and it isn't just about scoring points. It is about making reads, facilitating, and maintaining team structure in the absence of a fully healthy lineup. The lack of the usual flow, especially when you consider the absence or limited presence of a key player like Jason Tatum, puts enormous pressure on Jaylen and others to fill gaps and maintain momentum. This has highlighted both the strengths and the gaps in the Celtics roster. Players are learning new skills, taking on unfamiliar roles, and while this leads to some growing pains, it also positions the team for a more resilient, well-rounded performance down the line. Derek White, in particular, has been under the microscope as his role has expanded. Offensively, he has faced challenges adapting to the increased load and higher quality defensive pressure, and while the results haven't always been consistent, his defensive contributions remain strong, making him a net positive on the floor. If he can figure out how to translate this learning phase into consistent offensive production, it could dramatically change the Celtics' trajectory not just this season, but in the playoffs. This is the reality of a team in transition, where short-term struggles are part of a long-term developmental strategy. Even with uneven shooting nights, contested layups, and the adaptation to a more complex offensive scheme, there's a clear vision. Each player learning and expanding their game, so that when the core lineup is at full strength, the team operates at a much higher ceiling. The hope is that by the time Jason Tatum returns, the Celtics will have a lineup that is deeper, more versatile, and capable of spreading the responsibility more evenly. Jaylen Brown's growth this season has been particularly notable. Watching him take on increased usage, manage playmaking responsibilities, and still maintain efficiency has been a real treat for fans. His ability to adapt to these expanded roles while continuing to score at a high level is a testament to his skill and determination. The key will be balancing this newfound versatility with the return of established leaders, ensuring that the roles that players have worked so hard to develop don't simply get overshadowed, but instead integrate into a more dynamic team framework. Derek White's offensive struggles are another lens through which this growing process is evident. His shot selection has changed, his efficiency has dipped, and he is being asked to do more in terms of reading defenses and creating opportunities than ever before. It is not a lack of talent. It is an adjustment period. Once he internalizes the flow of this offense and becomes comfortable with his expanded responsibilities, we could see a significant improvement that will ripple across the team's performance. Meanwhile, the Celtics' depth and rotation flexibility are being tested. Players are being challenged to step up, and those who succeed are setting themselves up for larger roles in the future. Anthony Simons is beginning to find his rhythm, showing that with time and adaptation, new contributors can emerge and bolster the team's chances. The Celtics coaching staff is clearly pushing players to expand their capabilities, teaching them to operate in situations they are not used to, which may look messy at times, but is a calculated part of the team's development. The team's current record, hovering slightly above .500, reflects the growing pains of this approach, but also the potential. Even if a few early season games had gone differently, this team could already be in a much stronger standing, and the seeds are being planted for a deep and strategic run in the playoffs. By focusing on player development, role adaptation, and fostering resilience, the Celtics are crafting a unit that may not always look perfect in the moment, but is learning to be adaptable, multidimensional, and prepared for high-stakes competition. Watching how Jalen navigates the demands placed upon him, how Derek White begins to translate learning into results, and how newer contributors like Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons continue to find their footing, we see a franchise not just aiming for wins today, but building a foundation for sustained excellence. Each adjustment, each small improvement, and each new skill acquired by these players contributes to a broader strategy. A team capable of handling adversity, maximizing its depth, and peaking at exactly the right time when the stakes are highest. This is the kind of season where the immediate scoreboard may not fully reflect the growth, but the long-term gains could be significant, setting up the Celtics for a more balanced and formidable campaign in the months ahead. It's about learning to play together in new ways, pushing beyond what is comfortable, and ultimately preparing for a scenario where the team's true potential could be unleashed with players like Jaylen Brown and Derek White fully adjusted and ready to make an impact across every facet of the game. And as we push deeper into this unfolding story, Patriots fans, it becomes even clearer that we're standing at a crossroads that will define not just the remainder of this season, but the shape of the franchise for years to come. It's almost surreal to think about how quickly momentum can swing in the NFL, how one week you're celebrating a gritty win and the next you're dissecting every decision, every misstep, every adjustment that didn't come at the right time. That's why this moment matters so much, because the Patriots are no longer just playing games. They're carving out a new identity, one that demands toughness, accountability, and a sense of urgency unlike anything we've seen since the Dynasty era. You can feel it in the stadium, you can feel it in every press conference, and you can definitely feel it in the way this fan base reacts after each snap. But here's the thing. With all this noise, all this pressure, and all the speculation swirling around the future of the roster, the coaching staff, and even the front office, there are still players in that locker room who believe wholeheartedly in what they're building. You can hear it in their voices. You can see it in the way they carry themselves. They're tired of a narrative that the Patriots are simply a rebuild project with no direction. They want to prove that this team can still fight, compete, and shock anyone who decides to underestimate them. And honestly, that kind of attitude is exactly what fuels a team when adversity is at its peak. It becomes a rallying point, a spark that can ignite something bigger than just a single win or loss. And speaking of sparking something bigger, we need to talk about how the offense is beginning to show flashes of creativity and confidence that were missing in previous games. You can sense they're finally starting to trust each other, finally finding rhythm in moments that used to fall apart. Whether it's the quarterback stepping up in the pocket with more authority, the receivers running sharper routes and fighting for contested balls, or the offensive line holding their ground with a little more consistency, these are the small details that slowly start to change the complexion of a season. They might not look like monumental shifts from the outside, but internally, they carry tremendous weight. Defense, too, deserves credit. Even with injuries, even with adjustments upon adjustments, they're still fighting for every yard. They're still making life difficult for opposing quarterbacks, still forcing mistakes, still keeping this team within striking distance. And no matter what people say about this being a transition period, there's no denying that the heart of this Patriots defense continues to beat strong. You watch these guys fly across the field, you watch them communicate pre-snap, you watch them take pride in each stop, and you realize that this team isn't going down without giving everything they have. But let's be real for a moment. Belief alone won't change the record. Effort alone won't silence critics. Improvement alone won't secure the future. What will change everything is a complete performance, a statement game, A moment where preparation meets execution and the Patriots finally put all the pieces together. That's the next step. That's what the coaching staff is drilling into them. That's what fans have been waiting for. And as we look ahead at the next stretch of matchups, we know there's no room for complacency. The margin for error is thin. Every drive matters. Every decision matters. Every turnover, every missed tackle, every penalty, it all carries consequences now that the season has hit this critical stage. Still, there's something exciting about this uncertainty. Something thrilling in not knowing exactly what's coming next. Because as much as this season has tested the patience and the nerves of Patriots Nation, it has also opened the door for new heroes to emerge, for unexpected storylines to develop, for players who were once overlooked to suddenly take center stage. And when those moments happen, they remind us why we love this sport so much. They remind us why we watch every week, why we argue about play calling, why we hold on to hope even when things look messy. Because football is unpredictable. It's emotional. It's raw. And this team, for better or worse, is embodying that unpredictability in the most dramatic way possible. So as we wrap up the second part, Patriots fans, let this sink in. We're in the middle of a turbulent chapter, yes, but also one filled with opportunity. A chapter where frustration and optimism collide, where growth is happening behind the scenes, even when it doesn't immediately show on the scoreboard. The road ahead won't be easy. Nobody said it would be. But the fire is still there. The will to compete is still there. And the belief that something bigger can still take shape, that's absolutely still there. Stay locked in, stay passionate, and stay ready, because no matter what happens next, we are witnessing a pivotal moment in Patriots history, and you're going to want to be here for everything that comes next. And as we continue following all these developments, what matters most is recognizing that we're witnessing a crucial chapter in a season that still has many pages left. The highs, the lows, the changes, the frustrations, and the hope all blend together into the narrative that makes sports so compelling. No matter what happens next, one thing is certain. This journey is far from over, and the story is still being written with every decision, every practice, and every moment of determination from the players who step onto the field. The passion is alive, the stakes are real, and the next wave of updates will no doubt bring even more to discuss as this team fights to redefine its direction and reclaim the confidence that has shaped its best moments in the past. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers have begun circulating across the NBA corridors, and it seems Boston could be on the verge of a seismic shift. Sources close to the league hint that Jason Tatum, the franchise cornerstone for years, may be considering a departure from the Celtics. While nothing is confirmed, the chatter alone is enough to send shockwaves through fan bases and front offices alike. Tatum, a player whose scoring prowess and leadership have defined Boston's recent campaigns, is suddenly at the center of swirling speculation. Insiders suggest that behind the polished media appearances and carefully crafted interviews, there may be deeper questions about the direction of the team. Rumors hint at Tatum's desire for a fresh challenge, a new arena in which he can redefine his legacy. The Celtics, historically a bastion of stability and championship pedigree, would be entering uncharted waters if their star forward were to seriously consider an exit. Conversations in league circles are reportedly tense, with executives speculating which teams might make a run at acquiring him and what kind of package Boston would demand in return. The murmurs have fans on social media abuzz, dissecting every Instagram post, every cryptic quote, every interview snippet. Analysts are debating the plausibility, weighing Tatum's loyalty against the allure of a different stage and potential championship chase elsewhere. Speculation ranges from blockbuster trades with perennial contenders to a shock move that could upend the balance of power in the Eastern Conference. Even casual fans are suddenly drawn into debates over the Celtics strategy, wondering if Boston can rebuild around its remaining core or if the departure of a superstar signals a bold pivot. Of course, at this point, the story remains just that, a rumor, a buzzword whispered across locker rooms and tweeted into oblivion. Yet the mere suggestion that Tatum could leave has the league on edge, reminding everyone that in professional basketball, loyalties are as fluid as the scoreboard, and no star is truly untouchable. For now, Boston's faithful are left with anxious anticipation, wondering if their bright young star will stay or if a new chapter awaits him elsewhere. Either way, the NBA rumor mill is firing on all cylinders, and Jason Tatum's future has never looked more tantalizing or uncertain. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.